Hello and welcome back to God Lives Within. Sunday, August 25th, 2024. Coming on to just speak on the three individuals I met yesterday. Two of them homeless brothers, around their 50s to 60s. One on an oxygen machine, living out of their car. And then a separate guy I met volunteering yesterday named Percy, living in a group home for 17 years, has a job, rides his bike everywhere he goes, or puts his bike on the bus and rides the bus to 30 miles away from here to get back home. So this video is for Percy. This video is for Greg. And I want to say it starts with a V. I got it in my phone because I got your numbers yesterday, but Vernon, maybe? I hate to get it wrong, but anyway, you know who I'm talking about at this point. You're both godly men, all three of you actually. So the first guy I met with yesterday was Percy, the guy I was telling you about in the group home, riding his bicycle, volunteering at a wonderful little restaurant that feeds the homeless no matter how much money is in their pocket, that I will be supporting here very shortly in whatever way I can, for they have taken care of me. But Percy has 17 years clean from addiction. Like I said, he travels 30 miles to get to the city. And then he gets on his bike and rides around the city and does what he has to do. Percy is from up north, from New York. Still has some family up there. Point being, I sat down with Percy, ate lunch with Percy yesterday, and got to know the real Percy, which, if you were living in your ego mind, your left brain, in judgment, you would say, this guy, whatever you would say, I don't know, has on old clothes, isn't dressed well, isn't cleaned up well, maybe he's homeless. What would the judgmental mind say? All kinds of things. The ego mind goes crazy, trying to make itself feel better than what it sees in the physical realm. This is a problem that we all have to go through upon being born into this earth. We have to transcend this ego mind in order to not judge others, in order to really unconditionally love others. And so Percy was behind me in line to eat. We struck up a conversation. Percy gave me several blessings. I thank you, Percy. I won't mention what they are, it doesn't matter. The point is I sat down with Percy. We had a nice lunch. I got to know him, learn his suffering, his struggle. Didn't get his number, which I'm not happy with, but I will see him again, I know. Percy works at a Wendy's, cleaning out trash cans, mopping floors, taking out trash, scrubbing all the dirtiest parts of the restaurant. Basically working a slave job with a smile on his face. So this video goes out to you, Percy. If you see this video in the future, I want you to leave a comment, leave your name, and email me so I can get back in touch with you and give you the support, the help, the healing you need. Hopefully I'll see you again before that, but just in case. Now the other two men, you had, I want to say Vernon, Vaughn, something like that, and then you had Greg, who was on the breathing machine in the wheelchair. He's having a lot of physical problems at this point. But me and these two men sat together last night while his breathing machine charged for an hour and a half, discussing the geopolitical world, the fake leadership that we have in our government. We discussed a lot of past presidents. They were curious about, what about this guy? What about Bill Clinton? I said, ask the Haitian people about Bill Clinton. That's all you'll need to know. Of course, I filled him in more than that, but I also mentioned these presidents' net worth upon going into office and upon post office life, where their net worths have skyrocketed exponentially. We talked about the wars that these men have started, these puppets of the deep state shadow government, and we talked about if they're so eager to start wars, then how come there's still a cartel running drugs, trafficking children, organ harvesting from children, sacrificing children, putting children into slave labor? Why hasn't our government done anything about this? And so I posed the question to Greg, and Vernon will say, if they're so keen to starting wars all over the planet, why haven't they gone after the cartel? In which they replied brilliantly, oh, they did bring down, what's that one big guy's name? And I said, El Chapo, yes. But they said, but more than likely 10 more popped up in his place, exacerbating the problem. And I said, exactly. See, these men's intuitions were on point. They may not have done the research I have, but they didn't fight any of the information I gave them because they're not stuck in their ego mind. Now they are in suffering, which is the ego mind, because they haven't found God in the right hemisphere of their brain yet. But yesterday was a part of waking these two men up to God's truth, to their divine sovereignty and birthright upon entering this planet, that the elites, that the government, that the powers that are called leaders that are not leaders have taken away, hidden, and lied about for a very long time. So I got Greg and Vernon. I got their numbers for a project that I will be doing here. In this city, for I will need good people that are not strung out on drugs or alcohol in order to make this program all that it can be. Going out in the community, I would need people like this to go out in the community, find the families that are homeless, not living in sin, separation from God, in order to bring them to their new homes, to their new lives, and to a better way of living in a community of love. It won't take a lot to satisfy these beings. And it's a shame that the government could take half of their money they've slaved for all their lives and leave them stranded on the streets while bringing in immigrants and handing them housing vouchers, food stamps, money, cell phones, and citizenships with the money that they slaved for. This is the government that we are living under. So, this video is short and sweet. It's just a thank you to these three men. Vernon also gave me gifts. This is a homeless man sharing what he had with me, which wasn't even necessary but greatly appreciated. So we did a little bit of education, liberation for these souls to open up their mind, their consciousness to the truth of what is. What's the word? Solidifying in their minds that God is on the way. And that this old way of life will be no more here shortly. Now, to souls that are suffering and don't understand that there's a spiritual war happening, this can be the ultimate liberation. Just the mention of God, just the messenger of God giving God's word, sending them hope and faith, which is the gematria of my name, 44. Both of those words, hope and faith, would be the meaning of my name, Brian. And it also has Ra inside of it. I'll let you figure out what that means. But Ra is another word for the sun. It's S-U-N, the S-O-N of God, because we are all of God. We are all creations of God. We are all spirits from God. We're all fractals of light from God. And that S-U-N is just a life-giving love frequency, healing light that shines on all of us. And I believe it's a being that you're all very familiar with, the S-O-N. But I will say, although that light is extremely bright, that light came to tell you, you will do greater works than I. When you step into your divinity and your sovereignty. So I left these two men last night, or they left me, if you want to be accurate, on their journey to, I said, where will you go? And they said, wherever God takes us tonight and every night. I said, I understand fully, my friend. I told them my story, getting kicked out from my aunts, being invited, being kicked out 3 months later, being forced to take a train, being forced to rent a car after that, spending all of my money that I would need to survive, doing it all with a smile, without a worry in the world, because I know where I stand. Fake printed money or not, I'm right here, homeless in service, every single day. These demons have tried to stop this. these witches and warlocks, but they are on the fast track to knowing that this will be no more. For they used to remote view me and know all about me and be able to see me from the spirit realm, but that has been blocked by yours truly, the Most High. 99, Most High. So that is what we call protection. These two men asked me, well, aren't you worried about sleeping out here where you are? I said, no, I have God's protection. Oh, yes, you do. I said, there's angels with us right now, my friend. There's angels with you every day when you serve God. And it's just that simple. So, what did I get out of this? And just to say again, there is another beautiful day with 0 clouds in the sky. Truly special after all the cloudy days we've gone through. Feels like the skies and the heavens are opening up for us, finally. But what did I get out of meeting these 3 men yesterday? These 3 black men, all in suffering, all fighting just to survive. None of them asked me for anything. 2 of them gave me presents, and 1 of them offered for me to come stay with them whenever they find a place. Whew. And so the answer is, as you see in front of your eyes, these men, not only did I get to know them, but they touched my heart in a way that a rich person doesn't have a chance to do. And so while we sit here homeless, in suffering and lack, in need in a lot of cases, still in service to one another with nothing, we see the meaning of life right in front of us. To come together in love and unity and compassion for each other in non-judgment of their different skin colors, but in communion with one another to rise up above this government, this controller of the minds. And so while I didn't know where this message was headed when I pressed record, other than these 3 men, it all makes perfect sense now as we get to the end. This is what it's all about. This is why I'm out here on these streets. The ego of mine will say, I'm in suffering, I can't do this anymore, why me, poor me, it's his fault, it's their fault. But what am I doing? Connecting to the earth, connecting to the people, making good use of my time, finding out the systems that are in place for the homeless, for those suffering, figuring out, for instance, what food they're serving these beings, which is actually harming them instead of helping them. Now all that are involved in this harmful cycle of processed foods are doing so unknowingly and unconsciously. So we don't point a finger at them and judge them for feeding the homeless out of the kindness of their heart. No, we just make a video trying to help inform them, trying to point them in the right direction. If If we fed the homeless healthy, nutritious meals, their vibration rises. They become loving beings. They see the higher truths because they're vibrating at a higher frequency. They get downloads and messages from God instead of chatter from the ego mind and doubt, grief, shame, remorse, hatred from the enemy, which controls your left brain, ego, mind. So I will end this video saying we were all born into this world with this ego mind problem, this ego mind identity, intellect, analytical, reasoning, thinking brain. It tries to think its way out of the matrix, but will never be able to. It's just not how it's set up, not how it works. You must transcend this ego mind, subdue it into the background of your right hemisphere to do what it was meant to do to an enlightened, connected soul. See, no longer does this soul resonate the same. No longer does it vibrate the same. It transcends the 3D world, the ego mind, and the suffering that goes with it, to elevate you to a consciousness that is connected to God, where there is no suffering, lack, there is only abundance. Even when you have nothing, you know, I almost said it, your spiritual gifts, your spiritual inheritance is on the way. What did I almost say? I almost said blessings. Be blessings, be less. This is a change I'm making in my English language. Same as good morning. I'm not in mourning, so it's not good to be in mourning. It's grand rising. We're rising, ascending beings. It's what we were put here to do. Upon this ascension, our life purpose, the reason we were put here, our soul contract, comes to life inside this right hemisphere of your brain where God lives. So therefore the lack, the suffering, the want and need for material things goes away, because they are attracted to you from that point on. You don't even, whatever manifest in your consciousness that you're going to need for your security, for your safety, for your life purpose, will just happen. You will manifest it. I've already manifested something this morning. Not going to go into what. My manifestations are coming within the same day at this point. I have one thought about what I need, and then it comes to me. With no money, by the way. So, my time on this ground level, on this research of the infrastructure for the needy and for the homeless, is coming to an end. But my manifestations have only begun as far as they are concerned. I let these two men that are homeless know last night, brothers, one fighting every day to charge his brother's breathing machine to keep him alive, and the other in the wheelchair, handicapped by this breathing machine, basically. So we talked over a lot of things. But one thing's for sure. In the future, these men will be taken care of. I don't know these men more than an hour and a half of talking to them yesterday. But what I do know is they're not on drugs. They may drink some alcohol here and there. I can't say whether they do or not. I don't know, but I know they're not on drugs because I've been on drugs. I've been addicted. I've tried every drug. I know exactly what each one looks like, how you would act, the things you'll do to get them. I know it all as far as addiction is concerned. I've seen alcoholics. I've lived with them. I would just say the one characteristic an alcoholic always displays is selfishness. And I saw this firsthand as I invited an alcoholic and a drug addict into my home. I rented a 2-bedroom apartment and brought them in years ago, during a time where I was coming out of a homeless shelter and making my way towards renting my own place and holding down a job and whatnot, riding a bike to work. But I let this alcoholic and this drug addict into my home, and I forget why I even went to jail, but upon going to jail and coming back out, the alcoholic had taken over my room, had moved all his stuff on top of all my stuff, sleeping in my bed, was using drugs by this point, by the time I got out, drinking every day. So basically what I'm trying to say is when I went away, the light went away, and the demons took over these two beings. But the main point is an alcoholic cares only about himself. And I'm saying this to help you alcoholics, not for any other reason. Your dis-ease, your character flaw is very obvious. I will spot you from a mile away. You will not be able to fool an enlightened being, especially one that has been through the same journey. Now, I was never alcoholic. I don't even like alcohol, but like I said, I've lived with it. I've seen it. Whew. I don't even know why I started talking about that, and it doesn't even matter. So what needed to come out came out. This video is too long now, so I'm ending it finally. Beautiful day, extremely tired. Job interview and job security tomorrow. I told you, demons, you won't stop me. I've gone almost 2 years without a job. Now my gifts are coming in, but I'm gonna get a job anyway until they get here, because I haven't had money to eat in over a week, money to get a drink, money to get a coffee. But that's fine. I had to learn what others have to do to survive on these streets at the ground level in order to be able to help these beings without hurting these beings. And what do I mean by that? You can't just go up to a drug addict and hand them money. What good did you do them? You didn't. You can't just feed a drug addict processed, we'll just call it unhealthy food, because you're making the problem worse. So I had to come down to the ground level, to the street level you see behind you, in order to see what the infrastructure was and to figure out how we're going to attack this problem. But the homeless, with their root chakras just obliterated, will be restored so that they can go on to heal and find God for real. I'm not talking about going to a church. I'm talking about a direct communication, a direct line with Source. himself, herself, however you want to view it. For she is all things, and she made all of us, and she can transform into anything she likes. The most magnetic energy on the earth, pure love. My divine mother, Sophia Christ, where the Jesus got his gift of being a Christ, his anointing, his Christos, his oil of gladness. You see, while these religious books can steer you in the wrong direction, they also have the ultimate truth hidden inside of them that the enemy knows, but the enemy can't access themselves. So we fight on. We give thanks for the job we will receive tomorrow, for the being that helped connect me to this job. Brandon, you know who you are. You know I love you, and always have and always will. Your gifts are coming, whether they come from me or God, one way or the other. I'd rather them come from God. But I see you suffering. I see your daughter taken away from you for no reason. And you've always done the right thing. You've always worked hard. You've always been there for others. Don't think this goes unnoticed for 1 second. For even as a drug addict, I saw your heart beating loudly every single day for the suffering of others. I've seen it, Brandon. No one can change that. Here shortly, I'm going to give you a gift, buddy. Even before God gives you a gift, something you'll love. Because I know you're fighting for your daughter back now. You just had to pay a lawyer. And it drives me crazy that you can't see your daughter. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I love you, Brandon. I love you, Greg. I love you, Vaughn, Vernon, whichever one it is, and Percy. 3 of those guys I just met yesterday. But magnificent souls. And when you see this, you will know I'm the truth. For I told you all these things. I gave you this channel's name to help enlighten you, to make sure we stayed in touch in the future. Because I'm going to need guys like you who want to do right by God and serve others the way God's going to serve you. That is it for this video. I am sorry it went entirely too long. More to come today, I'm sure, now that I'm done with my work and taking it easy on this, I don't know, 75-degree day, completely blue skies, a blessing from the divine. I see all of you suffering, and we're going to change that in every way, but mostly through gnosis, through knowledge that you're going to turn into wisdom from experience, from living in this knowledge. What did God say? My children will suffer for lack of knowledge. Aren't we all in suffering at this point? No matter if you're living in a high rise, no matter if you're homeless like me and these other 2 guys. It's not going to matter here shortly. For even the rich are gonna be in suffering, are gonna see everything crumble, are gonna witness all the lies and the horrors that our government has been committing. They're still committing for these past 4 years. That is it for this video. Thank you all for listening. I love you. God loves you more. Take care.